Something strange is going on as we have had some absolutely ridiculous reports drop as it pertains to the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Ottawa Senators. And this has fans absolutely fired up. We'll break down exactly what it is and discuss what it means going forward, as well as break down some other updates ahead of the big game tomorrow in which the Leafs attempt to sweep the series for the first time in a very long time. So a ton of updates to go over today. But before we get into it, if you're part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Your guys' support has been unbelievable over here in the videos and the live streams, everything. So thank you guys for that. Darius, not the video we expected to be making today. And let's just dive right into it. Let's not waste any more time. Some very interesting things have dropped here. And of course, we know the Leafs won yesterday's game, but I want to start with something that dropped in the AM this morning from Darren Dreger and what is probably the most vague tweet / report we have seen in the history of the NHL. We can go ahead and read it here. A twist in the Battle of Ontario with allegations of pregame shenanigans last night. Sources say the NHL is looking at an incident in warm-up prior to the game 3 between the Leafs and Senators, undetermined whether league discipline will follow. So this dropped. Fans were, Darius, you and I we don't know if it was on the Leafs side, what kind of discipline we're talking here, what kind of actions were going on. And we finally got some clarity from Elliot Friedman. And, you can see this here. Here's what the NHL is looking at from last night. Friend of BX and Nick Cousins shoots puck at Stolarz. NHL is not crazy with the pregame stuff. Also clamped down in the funny Scheifele and Hoffer standoff in the Blues-Jets series. So it seems that in the warm-ups, Nick Cousins went out and was shooting pucks at Anthony Stolarz without him realizing or, shooting it into the other team's zone. Curious to see what your thoughts are. You have Darren Dreger confirming this. The incident in question sends players firing pucks at Stolarz. It has created a big debacle between Sens fans, Leafs fans, NHL. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I think Darren Dreger this morning could have been better off tweeting, "I know something, LOL," and then just leaving it at that because that's essentially what he did. Like something's going on, LOL. He could have tweeted that out because we had no idea if it was on the Leafs or the Sens side. But obviously, this has come out now, and it is in regards to the Senators players shooting pucks at Stolarz in warm up. Now, let me just say, if the NHL has a rule in place against this, because we've seen in the past, in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, some, pregame brawls and all that stuff, and that stuff still happens, in other leagues around the world and whatnot. But if the NHL has rules in place against that, I can understand why there's an investigation into this. I can totally understand it. But other than that, saying this as a Leafs fan, this is a joke. The fact that this is even coming out today, this is absurd. He wasn't taking slap shots at Stolarz in warm up. He was tossing pucks his way, and they played together last year on the Florida Panthers, and they've played together in the past. So, obviously he's just trying to get him off his game. I think Travis Green, we're going to get to him in a second. He spoke out on it as well. It's a little bit ridiculous, but that being said, if there is a rule in place against it, then the Senators shouldn't be doing that. And I think the Leafs they probably won't get anything out of it, but the Senators might be penalized, which is crazy, which is what Dreger was alluding to. So again, I think it's a bit of a joke. Although I think, it's a game within a game sometimes. If the Leafs start doing it, I don't want to hear anybody on the other side start crying about it. So, they started it, right? Game is game, so we'll see what happens in game 4. But again, if the league has a rule against it, then I can see why they're doing an investigation and why this probably won't continue. But it's a little bit ridiculous to me. This happens all the time.
Yeah, it does. And I think what you just said is exactly why the NHL is looking into it. I don't think they want the Leafs to do anything back. I don't think they want it happening across the NHL. We've known for a little bit now they're very stingy and picky about what happens prior to the game. We saw it in the Scheifele Hoffer thing. We saw it in the Jets series. They don't like these things happening. And yeah, you mentioned it. They were teammates, and it was probably just, playing around, even though maybe trying to get him off his game a little bit, no matter what it is. I saw some people, though, also saying, if Stolarz wasn't paying attention and he's seeing pucks come in and he, if he makes one wrong leg kick and he sprains a hammy or something like that, then there's serious things in question. And that's what the NHL is trying to get down. I think it's a pretty harmless thing in general to do, but I can guarantee you if something would have happened from one of those shots, or even if he sprained it or hurt his neck a little bit, turning his direction, anything like that, they're trying to get that out of the game. I think it's a little bit ridiculous as well. But at the same time, I do understand it from a league perspective. They're trying to crack down on that. And Travis Green joked, we'll dive into that now, that it wouldn't be wise for him to comment on the Nick Cousins warm-up shenanigans while an active investigation is ongoing. Green did add that he's discussed it with Cousins directly. It happens probably a lot more than you think. And it is true. It does. During the regular season, we see a bunch of different things. At the same time, it is the postseason now, so things are going to be, we know that magnifying glasses are put on everything, whether that's missed calls, whether that's missed saves. And like Travis Green, he's been a big highlight for the Leafs, or a highlight as it pertains to Leafs fans liking what he's saying, because some of the stuff he says is pretty funny. And we'll dive into now what exactly he said. You might have turned up your volume a little bit, but here is the exact interview from what he had to say this afternoon regarding the shenanigans, if you want to call it that.
The video. It's Nick Cousins and Stollers together. I don't know. Yeah, he's trying to either laugh at him or make a joke or off his game, and is what it is.
Did you talk to Cousins about it at all?
Yep.
What did he say?
Yeah, I know him.
So you see a bit of an interesting clip. Ultimately, I'd probably react similarly if Craig Berube, if he was out there speaking. But at the end of the day, let us know down below what your thoughts are. Things are kind of changing. I don't think there should be any discipline handed out. I think they probably could say, hey, there's no need to do that. At the same time, there's some past there and not bad blood. They literally won together last season, won a cup together. So it's going to be very interesting. Any final thoughts on that before we move on to some updates ahead of the game?
Yeah, I agree. Like, there doesn't need to be a penalty or anything like that against the Senators. Just like the league can step in if there is a if there is a rule against it and say, listen, no more of that from your side. We don't want the Leafs to start doing it. If the Leafs start doing it, then every other team is going to start doing it. So let's tone that down. I like a little bit of the gamesmanship, right? That stuff, and them talking at center ice during the warm up and stuff like that. I do like some of that. But again, like if anything were to happen, how does the league explain that all of a sudden the Leafs starting goalie is out with an injury because somebody was shooting pucks at him in the warm up, right? Like I know he's not shooting, like taking slap shots at him, but again, if they do have a rule in place, no penalty, I can understand that they would, have a talking to them, but that's pretty much it for me.
Yeah, very, bad optics, I think, for the leagues. That's what they're trying to do. Even though I kind of like it. It's stuff like this that makes the game, maybe more popular. Not necessarily something like this directly, but of course the firing up of the players and the things behind the scenes there. But let's dive into some other things. Mitch Marner following the 3-0 stranglehold lead said you can't be satisfied with where you're at now. The next one is going to be the hardest, and we got to be ready for that. And I think the mindset that this team is heading into game 3, kind of talking about that now, or heading into game 4, sorry. The mindset this team has is clearly different, and the way that this team is playing is different, and it's instilled in Mitch Marner. They're up 3-0. They aren't taking anything for granted, and it is going to be the toughest game of the series. You have to go ahead, sweep the series, have some rest before what could be a sooner than later series against the Florida Panthers as well, depending on how that series goes, depending on how Barkov's health is, and all these different things. But to see this from Mitch Marner, you got to love what you see, especially after a game where, the Leafs, despite some fans thinking, did dominate in the 5-on-5. So it is, I love this attitude from Mitch Marner, and they got to take it into not only this game 4, but also, hopefully, assuming they get there, the next series as well against one of the Florida teams.
It's not just Mitch Marner. I think this is the attitude of the entire group right now, and that's very exciting, I think, for Leafs fans because, we keep seeing those videos of Mark Savard freaking out on the bench after a goal, and then Craig Berube going up to him like, what are you doing, man? Like, it's game 1 of round 1. Like, let's settle down a little bit. But I think that what Berube's brought to the table has gone through the group, right? Even the overtime celebrations, yes, it's an overtime goal. You celebrate a little bit, but they've been kind of tame compared to other teams or the Leafs of past, right? So I do like that. And I remember when, the Toronto Raptors won the championship, they were up 3-1. They went up 3-1 on the Golden State Warriors in the final, and Kawhi Leonard just walked off and the rest of the team followed him. Like, job's not done here, right? Like, straight faces, like, we got one more to get here. So that's kind of the same attitude right here. It's different. This is round 1, but Marner's saying, like, the next one is the hardest one. We can't let the Senators get any life. Next game is very important, right? Do you separate yourself from the ghosts of the past here, right? Do you just clamp down, win this series, and move on? We're a different team. Or do you allow a little bit of oxygen to the Ottawa Senators? I think it's a big game, but I think they have the right mindset going in, and they've been playing good. So I'm excited.
Yeah, they're absolutely ready for it, both analytically. You can also see here, on the other side, David Perron says that he doesn't want to make any headlines. But Claude Giroux brought up the series back in 2010 when, of course, Giroux was on the Flyers, so they came back and won 0-3. So interesting. A couple other things. Again, they beat him in the 5-on-5, and Anthony Stolarz was excited about his blue liner getting a goal. But ladies and gentlemen, that'll wrap it up. A ton of crazy things coming out. We'll have a skate tomorrow. We assume, some changes could be on the horizon depending on how things happen. But at the end of the day, we'll see what the lineups look like tomorrow. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys later.